Hello students, this video is about attribute based perceptual mapping using discriminant analysis. Let us look at the theoretical aspects of perceptual mapping. Positioning is essentially concerned with mapping of consumers' mind and placing all the competing brands of a product category in appropriate slots or positions on it. So, for example, a product category of shampoos, if you consider, could be identified as having five attributes such as price, lather, fragrance, consistency, and favorable effects on hair. If this were to be rated on a 7-point scale for, say, six leading brands of shampoos A, B, C, D, E, and F, then we can pick up any two attributes, and put them on x-axis and y-axis and make a graph out of it, and then plot the six brands on that particular graph or the map. So like this we can take combination of two attributes and develop maps and understand how these six brands are positioned on those maps with respect to each other. So this is called as a perceptual map of consumer perception about competing brands in a product category. Thus, perceptual mapping is a tool for plotting the positions of brands in a product category in relation to the attributes under consideration. It is useful for deliberate positioning of a new brand based on the gaps in the current map, or for finding out current position of an existing brand on the map, and based on the desired position of an existing brand owned by our company. If it is different from what we perceived or what the consumers are perceiving, then we can plan for a repositioning. For that, we may rethink about the attributes of the product, or we may go for a new campaign, for marketing campaign or advertisement campaign for that particular position improvement. To understand this, let us use an example from Nargudkar. This example is about chocolate category. A chocolate company wants to draw a perceptual map using attribute based procedures of its consumers' perceptions regarding the own brands and two competing brands. So let us assume that Nestle is against Cadbury and Amul. For example, data was collected from 15 respondents. That is 5 respondents, and each giving you opinion about these three brands. So total 15 observations, and attributes were price, quality, availability, packaging, and taste. The variables measured using different scales. So in this perceptual mapping, we need not have same scale for all the attributes. Each one can have its own separate scale, but they should be unidirectional. That means higher the value, more is the preferred attribute. So that is what is used here. And now let us look at the data so collected. So this is the data. So brand 1 is Nestle, brand 2 is Cadbury, brand 3 is Amul. So if you want, you can do that here also. right? So you can give 1 as Nestle and 2 as Cadbury and 3 as Amul, right? So you can make the values here also accordingly. And now what we are going to do is basically the discriminant analysis. So analyze, classify and go for discriminant. Brand is our grouping variable and all the remaining variables are our independents. And in the brand we need to give range, and we have minimum 1 and maximum 3, basically because we have 3 brands. In statistics you can go for unstandardized, but actually we are going to go for only standardized, so I don't want to go for it, right? All this is okay, and we just go for our output. And you can see here we get the group statistics. We get this standardized, the canonical discriminant coefficients is what we are going to use, and we are going to use these functions at group centroid. So these two tables we have already taken it to the Word doc. So let me take you to the Word doc. So these are the two tables which we are going to use to develop the perceptual map. Please understand we are going to use standardized values because we want to put them on the same graph. So standardized canonical discriminant function coefficients are this, price is this, quality like that, all those values. So first what we are going to do, we are going to draw a map. So this is the map, and on the x-axis we have taken the function 1, and on y-axis we have taken the function 2. So for example, now price is 0.207 on function 1 or x-axis and 0.701 on y-axis. So if you see here, approximately this is the position of price. Similarly, we will draw all the 5 vectors and write these vector names there. Then what happens is that we now give the x-axis and the y-axis names based on the components of the vectors. So if you see here, the larger the component of availability, the larger component is on the x-axis. Quality is also on x-axis, larger component, whereas their y component are smaller. So x-axis can be said to be dominated by availability and quality, whereas y-axis, if you put the components, the higher components are test and of the price, and packaging is not having any higher component on either of the axes. So that's what we will use, so that we understand that the variables on the longer variable vectors in a given dimension. So dimension 1 seems to be comprised of availability and quality, and dimension 2 comprised of test and price, right? Now on the same graph we are going to plot our brands. So for that, 1 we will put this x-axis and 2 we will put the y-axis. These are the functions at group centroids. 1 is Nestle, 2 is Cadbury and 3 is Amul. So when we put them here, we see that Nestle is here, Cadbury is here and Amul is here. So Nestle definitely leads on the axis of availability and quality, and on this axis if you see, Amul is also better than Cadbury if you consider this as the axis. And in the test and price, again Cadbury is leading because Cadbury is coming somewhere here and price, whereas Nestle is number 2 and Amul is number 3. So this is how we understand. Now based on this, so here Nestle seems to be stronger on dimension 1, Cadbury seems to be stronger on dimension 2, that is taste and lesser extent price, and Amul scores low on both the axes. Now, if Cadbury wants to improve its quality and if they undertake some changes in their products, as well as they design their campaign to promote that they are quality brand, so basically they are trying to move their position from Cadbury's position from here to somewhere in the first quadrant, right? So that they will, the best position will be ahead here, so that they are ahead on the on the quality more than Nestle, as well as they maintain their leadership in taste and price, right? And then when they do that, maybe for 6 months they implement that strategy, and then again they do the attribute mapping, perceptual mapping of the attributes, and then if this Cadbury comes somewhere here, that means they are getting success. So based on the Cadbury, at the same time Nestle might have done something, Amul might have done something, so all that will get reflected in the subsequent perceptual mapping. So this is how we understand where to focus and how this position keeps on changing at a regular intervals, and accordingly we keep on deciding the strategy for our next move, or we can also understand where is the gap and we can place a new product accordingly. So this is the perceptual mapping using discriminant analysis. Thank you.